そうですね。わー、大阪。グレース、めぐみ。はい。自由ね。
How many churches? I don't know. In my city, which is Sweden, I think we have like 370,000 people. The last I checked and I knew of, there's 13 churches in like the area, and there's only one that's over 100. The rest are probably, I think the second biggest is like 60. Yeah, the rest are like, ours is close to 40, and the others are like maybe 20. So there's a lot of like, do we need church planting? Yeah. We probably need them more than they have convenience, you know. Yeah, seriously though. Because also like the Japanese people, I find they function better in smaller groups. So like bigger churches, which would be like 100 would be a big church, easy to hide and come out. And so if you really want them to build a community of believers that actually relate to each other, you have to find a way, if your church gets big, how to make it small. You know, how to keep it within the community. Because, so our typical small group, you know, back in Hawaii, I'll do like a 20 people group, and that's a small group. Here, like our church decided with all the Japanese members, 3-4 max is how much they can handle, where they're willing to open up, because it takes time to trust, and they don't want to burden each other. They don't want to look or feel bad, and they don't want other people to feel bad. And that's all gospel issues, obviously, but it's what we start with. Yeah. It'd be fun experiment, just randomly walk up to people and say like, have you ever, I'm taking a questionnaire, have you ever read the Bible or been to a church? Most people tell me when I meet them, I'm the first Christian they've ever met, and I've never even seen a Bible with my own eyes before. And it's so available, you know, nowadays, and they still haven't seen it. So like, why, you know? Like, why? You know, and then you ask them like, what's their image? You know, what's their image of a church? You know, when I'm at campus, I always do that, because when they ask me what my job is, I tell them, and they're like, you can see their eyeballs like going on. Like, I don't know what this looks like. They picture a like wedding steeple, and people dressed in garb, and very quiet, solemn, and not someplace where they want to be. This is what it comes down to. So like when people come to our church, like there's this one guy who comes to our church. He was just talking about this last Sunday. You know, it's the first time he ever came to a church last year because his daughter and my daughter is classmates, and they started doing like Japanese kendo with each other. And so she wanted to come to church, you know, and their family is a lot of crazy things. Like so the dad is 38. The doctor says he probably shouldn't live past 50 with his health issues. And so he's the crazy alcoholic guy because he can't drink. I mean, he can't, there's no cure. And then so the doctor's like, just do whatever you need to do to relieve your stress. He's like, okay, let's go to drink. You know, and so, and you know, his daughter is now like 8 or 9 years old. So they come to church. The first time he comes to church, he never been to church before. You know, he comes with 2 beers in his hand because he's an alcoholic. He can't not go outside without drinking. And so we're like, yeah, go ahead, sit down. So he's in church. He's like, what's going on? You know, but it's like, if this is the way that it'll happen, that he can come to church for the first time in his life, why are we going to prevent that? And he's been coming ever since then, almost every week. And he stopped drinking in church. Because he's like, oh, nobody drinks here. We're like, where's this worship? And we're worshiping. And he's like, I don't know what's happening. You know, but he was like, just last week he was sharing, he's like, yeah, when I first came, I didn't know what church was about. And after the church, he asked my wife, like, how much money do I need to pay? Because like, there's all these things happening, you know? And she's like, nothing. And so he's like, and just recently, like 2 weeks ago, you know, we have a lot of time with them, but the husband started asking, like, in the church, why do the couples love each other so much? And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, you know, I'm married, me and my wife, we don't have fights, but we don't have love. We raise our kid together, and that's it. Like, I haven't touched my wife in an affectionate way since my kid was born. He's like, but how do you guys do that? So we're talking, and we're at dinner, he's drunk, so we started dinner, like, you have priorities, God, and this, and he loved his wife. Yeah, I got scolded by Justin, and he said I had the wrong priority, so I love you. She's like, shut up, tell me this when you're not drunk. Go sit back down. He's like, oh. But it's really funny. And then just last week, like, he's just asking my wife, so this Christian thing, right? And he's like, this is, of all the things I've heard in my life, this is the only thing that actually makes sense, and it has good answers, and I see the people, and I'm accepted by them, even though I'm, like, he's like Yankee, what they call Yankee. He's like a very troubled past, and you know, and it's like, and I'm always drunk, and you know, I'm not proper guy, and everybody loves me. He's like, I'm thinking maybe I should become a Christian. And so we're like, talk to us when you're sober. I mean, so that's one of the things that we're praying for him about, is just that he finds the peace of God, so that he doesn't need to go to alcohol for very temporal peace, you know. So I mean, and his wife is the one that was telling me, because the daughter's praying now. She's like, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus now, and she's like, but the mom's like, you can't become a Christian because we're Buddhists, and I have to receive the Butsudan from my family, and I need to give it to you. You know, and so you can't become a Christian. But the guy's like, it's okay. Just don't tell mom. You know, so we're like, if we don't want to do that, we don't split the family that way. So we're taking it slowly, you know. But it does take a long, long time, a lot of hours, and yeah, a lot of just, yeah. People are funny here. Yeah.
That I'm still kind of working on. But obviously I do want to reach Japanese people, but I will never be Japanese. And I think uniquely God has wired me to be both American with my American ability, but also with my Koreanness. And I know that Osaka also has a very big Korean population, and I know that there are even North Korean kind of like schools that are present here. Like, where can I be in a place where I can do ministry to, you know, with all 3 language abilities? And that's when I heard more and more about Osaka and the population here. There are a lot of Koreans here, and so it's the thing that my philosophy is, yes, I'm sure God will have me reach the people He would want me to reach, but the people I reach and I disciple, I want them to be able to, you know, impact wherever they are in the city. And so whether it be it's Koreans coming to this church and they're discipled, but they're reaching out to Japanese, or I'm with Japanese people and they're reaching out, or people who are interested in American culture. And so yeah, I think it'd be difficult to do a trilingual like service or anything like that, but maybe have different things in place to kind of attract people who are interested in English, or attract people who are interested in Korean. For example, there's a pastor in Chiba who he owns a cafe, and on Sundays they're at church and the service is in Japanese, but on the weekdays they teach English class and Korean class, but Korean class has been by far the most popular reaching adult Japanese women. And so, so that's kind of like the direction I feel like God is leading me towards. And so, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, whether you know, have.
Yeah, I mean, having a bilingual church for us, it has its positives, but there's also a lot of challenges. Positives, obviously, we get a lot of like mixed families. So for our church at least, it's if it's a mixed family, like the wife is Japanese and the husbands are foreigners, and we all have like half kids. That's good. The problem is if it's too much English, and what we heard at the beginning was because the Japanese are not. Because we reach out to the local community, not everybody likes English. Some people actually don't like it, but they're interested in what we're doing. But I've been told, like, you know, I don't think I can come to your church because I don't speak English good enough. And I'm worried about that. And I heard it again, and we haven't heard it for like a couple of years. I thought we fixed it. I think we did, but recently a new guy came to church, and I went out to lunch with him. And he said the same things, like, I really want to go to your church, but I'm not sure my English is good enough for your church. I said, well, actually, like, we had 2 mission teams that week. And so I'm like, most of these people aren't even part of our church. So that's why they don't speak any, like, Japanese at all. So come again on a normal day. So there's that, like, positive, negative part about, wow, there's so much English. And one of this guy called it, I have an English shower. You know, and so so he's very happy. But then at the same, some people might like it, but then some people might feel overwhelmed by people that cannot do English. And so one of the things we tried before was just ask the foreigners, it's okay if you can't only say 3 words, use those 3 words. You know, and then what I did is I did like the call to worship in Japanese. I usually do it in English, and I purposely don't try to speak perfect Japanese. I'll write it down, but I'll try to memorize it. And I know I'm going to screw up, but I do it on purpose so that they can see, well, Justin's Japanese is pretty terrible. So it's okay for my English to be not as good either. And they actually helped a lot of people. Like the ones who can't speak English like at all, they're like, kawaii ne, kawaii ne. I'm like, don't call me kawaii ne. I'm like, I'm manly, you know? So, but it's just making a fool of myself so that they feel okay, you know. Yeah. So in Japan, not a lot, but some Japanese churches, they have it like they call it fufu boxi, right? So it's like the husband and the wife are like the pastors of the church. So sometimes when people visit our church and they've been to some other churches, like when my wife is talking, they're like, so you listen, they're talking very extremely polite. And my wife is from Osaka, so she's like, can you not use keigo to be like talk to me in regular? And it's very hard for them to break it until my wife just constantly just only speaks to them in the normal like Japanese or Osaka Ben is what she uses, but just, you know, we have to like even break the language so that they can be like, okay, like it's a little bit different here.
Also, my wife and I, we talked before, like, for example, internet sort of bilingual church, maybe kind of a loose Japanese they come. However, these people, we cannot reach the Japanese, really rigid Japanese, but the loose Japanese, when they go out to the society, they will reach out. They will reach out to the family.
Yeah.
So then, I think David, just be yourself and enjoy. You know, I mean, American, okay, fine. Just you can be it. Just God created that way. So then we put it here. So enjoy just who you are, and that's the most important thing, don't you think? And then some people will come to your church, those people will be trained, understand the gospel, and then they will bring back the gospel to their own places, working, school and neighborhood and family. Yeah. I'd like you to enjoy. Yeah. Because I couldn't for many years, so yeah. I'd like you to enjoy.
Yeah, I was thinking that whenever the vision trip teams come, I've been here for over a year, so like on the train I'm all quiet and I'm trying to be as Japanese as possible, but then they're all, like distracting everyone and causing all sorts. But then it's like for me, I thought to myself, if I just became really, really Japanese, people would look at me and they wouldn't think anything.
You're not
just another person.
You're so Japanese.
I wouldn't be able to. So I wouldn't be able to reach the Japanese. But obviously, as I am respectful for the culture, but also I get to be myself and where I'm from. There will be people who might not like that, but there will be people who are really wanting to enter into those relationships too. And so I think what you said makes a lot of sense. I'll be myself. So.
I think for me, like the macro vision though, as far as like church culture here, like I actually do want to see, like part of my job for City Catalyst is getting the churches to actually collaborate, not just like maybe have a prayer meeting or put on an event, but actually working together where not just the pastors know each other, but the members know each other. And this is not part of like the MO, but this is like in the back of my mind. A lot of complaints about the churches are designed of people to get married to. So, and the majority of the churches are like, I heard something like 70% women. And so if we want to see like Christian marriages come out, our churches in itself are not enough for that to happen. And that means the pastors need to be okay with somebody leaving their church. And I think that takes the relationship, especially like if your church is 25 and you lose one person, that's 4% of everything. And so sometimes like that's why sometimes if somebody wants to visit your church and your Japanese church, the pastor will call the other pastor, hey, that your neighbor visited me, did you know, and is it okay? So they want to be respectful in that sense, but in the same sense, it's like there's no connectivity in the body of Christ. So I think the big C, should be the main thing, not the little C's. So like one of the bigger visions is we actually have collaboration where people are not afraid of movement, and especially with marriages, and that in some way we help support building up church planters and giving to that church plant, even though we're not part of their denomination or part of their network of churches, but we want to do things to change the percentage, because it's less than 1%, and I'm like 2 would be nice, 2 of like 120 million. That's a lot of people. And so I think it does take more than one church, one network, one denomination. We have to work together. And then with the faith and work stuff, people actually are equipped to be Christian in their workplace, in their families, because like how he was saying, we can only reach a certain people. They're the ones going to reach the people that we can't reach. And so we need to train them how to share their faith, how to not be like extremely weird, and that takes time, so I think so. And then like I think it was Kari who said, like, once 10% of the population has converted, that's when it really starts to impact and change the society. So we're a little bit far off, but it could happen, hopefully in our lifetime. As far as like the mini version of us is almost the extension of that, basically. It's like our mission is like that we would be impacting our community with the gospel as we are getting a deeper understanding of the gospel and living it out in our daily lives. So with that, it's like I don't care about the size of my church. I'd rather plant more churches, and our church knows that. And so when we have membership, we're like, yes, you're a member now, but we might send you to help a church plant, or maybe if you're in that side of ministry, we want you to get trained for it. Because some churches are like, you're a lifetimer. You get saved here, you're staying here till you're dead. I'm like, that doesn't promote any growth. It promotes the within the church growth, but not the bigger picture. And so, yeah. So one of my next steps is I'm meeting with a couple of pastors in my area, and we finally got the wives together. The next thing is to get our leaders together, and then after that to get the whole church or a group of the church together, just to start interacting. Say like, hey, you got brothers and sisters right down the road. You're not really alone as you think. There's not as many as we want, but you're not alone. And let them build each other up, you know. But it takes like we're learning to trust. Like, okay, you're not gonna hit. I'm gonna take all these people from you guys, you know, because that's one of the hard parts here. So, yeah.
What are the needs within Osaka, and also what are the needs in terms of people within your personal church?
Needed everything. Like literally, we need more. Well, we need more churches for one, you know, because I mean, knowing the Japanese like in the context of your networking amount of people, it doesn't go that far. You might have friends at work, you might have friends from junior high, and that's it. There's not much, you know, and they're always working. So we need more people to reach more people. And at first it's going to be missionaries, obviously, a lot of missionaries. But then eventually the goal is that the native Japanese people would take over, and they would contextualize the ministry and the church so much that we don't lose the core of what it is, but maybe the shape might be a little bit different. So I think that, and yeah, we need workers, skilled workers, committed workers, you know. And also I think with certain churches, you know, funding is going to be one of the issues, you know. Like Tokyo is much worse, but you know, to rent a space in Osaka is pretty expensive too. To have a decent space where you can actually make noise and have it consistently, it's not easy to find. Yeah. So I think some church growth is stifled by the actual space, because people come here, it's already packed. You know, I have 20 people here, it's already packed already. They don't feel the room for growth. So yeah. Hope that answers your question. We could talk forever, but